Today's episode of Voiced is from r/confessions and is about two users who found themselves in deeply personal, unexpected situations that changed their lives forever. Which one will leave you speechless? Subscribe if you enjoy. I thought I had a scat fetish, but I was wrong. I messed up really badly and might never mentally recover. So like many young modern men, I enjoy pornography and partake semi-regularly. There's of course a lot of porn out there, and I'll confess the normal stuff, pun intended, started to get kind of boring to me, so I started branching out into some more extreme but legal genres of porn. Eventually, I stumbled upon scat, and to be very honest, it was super hot and I ended up enjoying it a lot. Something about watching a beautiful woman with a fat ass pinch off a large fecal loaf really turned me on. I'm not exaggerating when I say I spent almost 2 years of my life watching primarily scat-focused porn. Well, as I got more and more into it, the more I wanted to experience it myself. I tried finding women who were into it, but they seemed few and far between. Eventually, I found an escort who specialized in extreme fetishes, and she was super hot too, but very expensive. I knew I wanted this though, but I'm not super rich, so I took out a cash advance on my credit card and put it with my savings. I contacted her, scheduled an appointment last month on the 15th, and paid for a hotel room and her flight to my city. I even took time off of work on the Friday beforehand to prepare. I was so excited my heart was racing, waiting for her to show up at 6 p.m. in my room. She came, we made conversation, all while I grew more excited and aroused. Finally, the time came. She grabbed her suitcase and opened it, and pulled out a large plastic sheet and laid it over the bed. She told me to lay down, undress, and get comfortable, and she'd change and return. I did so and was so excited. After what felt like forever, she came back wearing a leather corset, thigh-high boots, and no bottoms. She asked if I was ready. I was so excited and aroused that I couldn't speak. I just nodded. She got on top of me in a 69 position and told me to eat her asshole. I ate it like my life depended on it while she stroked and blew me. It was amazing. Then she asked if I was ready for the main course. I moaned, "Yes!" She put her entire ass over my face and carefully lined up her anus with my mouth. I started to see it open up. I was so aroused as she still stroked me gently. Then I saw it open up and slowly a log started to make its way out. I opened my mouth, and as soon as the feces entered my mouth, I knew I made a terrible mistake. It tasted so bad. The smell was terrible too. It made me gag. She then moved her ass over my chest and started defecating all over me. Then she sat her ass down and started smashing and spreading it on me while still jerking me off. I was fighting the urge not to puke. Tears of shame, sadness, and disgust filled my eyes as I fought the urge not to cry like a baby. She just kept defecating and jerking/blowing me. Eventually, I came all over her hands and she smeared my semen and some of the feces together and made me lick it off of her fingers. I felt like I needed to impress her and that I'd spent too much money on this to back out. Then we went and showered and she threw the plastic sheet in a garbage bag, took the envelope of money we had made, had some brief conversation, and she left. Immediately, I broke down crying, brushed my teeth for what felt like forever, and got drunk trying to forget. I found out the hard way last month that I do not have a scat fetish, and honestly, I feel mentally broken over that night, and I don't know if I can overcome this mentally. I've been really struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts since that night. I made an appointment to see a local therapist, but I hope it will help. It's been overwhelming and incredible having so many private messages and comments come my way. You guys are such a nice community. Wow, that was quite a journey. It's incredible how one experience can completely shift our perspective. While this person navigated their own unexpected challenges, let's dive into another story where someone else faces an entirely different set of obstacles. In this next post, we have a situation where a major life event has left lasting impacts on both physical and emotional well-being. The journey to recovery is not just about healing the body, but also about rebuilding trust and intimacy in a relationship. Let's see how this person navigates through their own challenges and finds strength in unexpected places.
My husband is reluctant to be intimate with me after I was in a major car accident. I am a 30-year-old female who has been married to my 45-year-old male husband for 5 years and together for 8. Obviously, there is an age gap in our relationship, and whenever we discussed possible health issues or medical care, it was regarding him. About 4 months ago, I was in a car accident. I was talking on Bluetooth to my husband because I was nervous driving on the icy roads going to our house when another car rounded a corner too fast and lost control. It was one of those exact wrong moment things, and my car went off the road and into a tree. My husband heard the whole thing, and my last memory before I lost consciousness was him screaming my name. I don't want to get into the gory details, but I ended up being in the hospital for over a month. I needed multiple surgeries and have been in physical therapy ever since. I am finally getting to a point where I feel like myself again and am no longer in pain. I've gained back some weight and look good, if I do say so myself. My husband literally worked out of my hospital room for the entire time I was there. He went home to shower, sleep, and look after the dogs, then came right back. He attended all my therapy appointments so he would know how to better help me recover at home. He was amazing and everything I could ask him to be in that kind of horrible situation. I love him so much, and so yesterday while shopping, I saw this gorgeous black lingerie set and decided to surprise him. We haven't had sex since before the accident, and every time I try, it feels like he makes an excuse or expresses some concern about some random body part of mine that is no longer injured. He was on his laptop in bed when I came in wearing my new purchases, and I could tell he was taken by surprise. I basically crawled into his lap and started kissing his neck and grinding on him. He was definitely hard, but then he lost it and pushed me away, saying that we shouldn't rush this and he doesn't want to jeopardize my recovery with sex. I was crying by the time he ended the sentence and said, "I'm fine. The doctors say sex is fine." But he was already walking into the bathroom and turning on the shower. I don't know what to think. Is it the scars? Is the memory of me in a hospital bed, unable to even sit up by myself, repelling him? I am finally starting to feel good about myself and my body again, and the fact that he won't touch me is really hurting my mental health. It's probably a long shot, but has anyone else experienced this? I was in a major car accident, and I'm finally back to myself, but my husband doesn't want to have sex with me. Last night when we got in bed, I curled up next to my husband and held him while I said basically, "We've been through a lot. Would you be willing to get therapy with me to make sure everything's all right for both of us? I love you so much, and I don't want any underlying trauma to affect our relationship." He was silent for about 10 seconds, and then the floodgates opened. I've only seen him cry once or twice in our entire relationship, at our wedding and the first time I told him I loved him, but I held him while he sobbed for what was probably an hour. He kept apologizing for it, and I had to keep saying, "Don't be sorry, I'm here. Cry if you need to cry." And I shed some tears of my own. It was an exhausting, but ultimately extremely cathartic experience. When it was all over, and he was able to say more than a few words, he told me that there were about 15 minutes when he was sure he had just heard the love of his life die. Then we got to the hospital, and the doctors made it clear they would do everything they could, but the extent of my injuries were extreme and severe. Then he spent hours calling family members, waiting, pacing, and trying to grapple with the fact that I might die and he might be alone. Then I spent 5 days in the ICU, mostly unconscious. He said he's never known fear like that in his life. In the end, we agreed to go to individual and couples therapy and even touched on the sex thing, wherein he admitted that he knows objectively nothing bad will happen to me if we have sex. But for some reason, it is sparking this protective instinct that makes him want to treat me like glass. So we're working on it, and our marriage is amazing. He's the love of my life, and we can get through this.
Before I talk about today's posts, please consider subscribing if you're new here. Today, we've got a couple of intense stories from Reddit that really pack an emotional punch. First up, we have a user who thought they had a scat fetish, but found out the hard way that it wasn't for them. I mean, talk about a life-changing experience. This guy spent 2 years into this genre and then took things to the next level with an escort. The reaction was so intense that he's now struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts. It's a stark reminder of how our fantasies don't always translate well into reality. On the other hand, we have a heart-wrenching story from a woman who was in a major car accident and is now dealing with her husband's reluctance to be intimate with her. The emotional toll on both of them is palpable, but it's amazing to see how they're working through it together. It just goes to show that communication and therapy can really make a difference. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these posts in the comments below. Have you ever had an experience where reality didn't match up with your expectations? Or maybe you have some advice for this couple as they navigate their relationship post-accident. Let's discuss. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Voiced. If you enjoy daily high-quality stories, please like and subscribe to show your support.